So this is Counter Shot that you're watching. I talk boxing and fighting in general. We also talk about controversial subjects surrounding boxing sometimes. Sometimes the heat gets hot. So if you don't let that get out now, all others are welcome. This is the House of Truth. And the aim is not to offend, but to look at things from a different perspective. Talking today real quickly about the victory that Devin Haney had in the second fight against George Kambosos Jr. It was a very good match. This past weekend was a big boxing weekend. We've been needing something like that for a while. And it's the first time in a long time I've spent pretty much all day watching and waiting for matches. So even my daughter was interested in looking at some of these matches, particularly the match between Alicia Baumgartner and her rival, whose name I can't even think of at the moment because of the hilarious trash talk that was taking place. But she definitely went to see the Clarissa Shields versus Marshall fight as well. And she was interested in this particular fight. So this fight was a very good fight. It was better than the first fight in my opinion. And so shout out to Devin Haney for being victorious over George Kambosos Jr., who of course we know was very talkative in fight one leading into that fight. You know, the Emperor and all the 300 talk and so on and so forth. And you know, he did his thing going into that first fight, at least verbally, and then he got dominated. Now the second fight, unfortunately for Kambosos Jr., was a little bit more the same, but I must say that he did show up to fight, not just to get a paycheck. So I'm going to recognize that he did what he had to do in that regard. So that said, one of the things I wanted to look at in this fight was Devin Haney's approach. I wanted to know if he was going to come in here and fight the same fight that he fought the first time, or if he was going to go in and be a little more aggressive and take a few more chances because he dominated the fight one, that is, because he dominated the fight so effectively. And this time around, it was a more aggressive fight on both guys' part. Now I gotta say, George did show up to fight, and I believe that I don't care for George too much based on some of the things he was saying. Maybe they both got beef with one another, but just from the outside looking in, George had he just had a lot to say, and he was very disrespectful going in that first fight. Using a lot of terminology that could be construed as pretty racially prejudiced. And some people say the same thing about Haney, but it is what it is, and that's what makes a good fight sometimes. But going in, I think that George Kambosos Jr. actually made this a more interesting fight than it could have been, because he came so aggressively, and he tried to show a different look. As you can see, he was trying to use a lot of lateral movement. He was trying to kind of bob and weave in a more Tyson-esque fashion, knowing that he had a bigger opponent in front of him with a long reach. That's I don't think quite as quick as I think Kambosos is a little bit quicker than Haney, at least in some ways. So they're pretty close on that level in terms of speed. But the problem is Haney's got the reach and the height, and he's just a bigger frame guy. And that obviously gave Kambosos Jr. problems the first time, and it gave him, headaches again, as he was just as bruised and filled with abrasions as fight one. But not taking away, anything. I'm not taking away anything from him, because he did show up to fight, and he did give it his all. So Devin Haney fought another, near perfect fight. He was careful, but not the way he was in the first fight. I do think George brought some of that out of him to be more aggressive. Although I believe out of his own mouth, he came prepared to be more show a little more versatility. And so it did make for a better fight. The first fight wasn't bad, but this was a better fight, and it had some excitement. There was some cheating. I mean, George was doing some things. He was doing a little head butting and a little bit of this, and you see here Haney is pretty much caught on to it already, and so he's coming with the headlocks, and they battled, man. One of my questions about this fight, let me get to this real quick. This is a short video. I just want to comment on it after this weekend, but I had wondered if it was really did Devin Haney have a huge incentive to come back to this, because going into the first fight, it was well, the purse, he took a really crazy deal. The agreement that came about for that first fight was incredibly one-sided, and so I really did wonder if it was going to be as bad this time around, because they said that the contract stated A, B, C, and I don't see the contracts and so on and so forth. So you're not sure about all this, but I had heard that George Kambosos Jr. would get a cool $10 million, while Haney would get roughly $2.8 million in that first fight. And hey, that's tough. But also there was something going on, with the pay-per-views, but I don't get into all that. I analyze the fight itself, to be perfectly honest. But I do worry about how guys are getting, or wonder about how guys are getting paid, if they seem to be getting paid fairly and whatnot. But that said, I wondered about, him going back to Australia, and if he was going to be making short money again. So it turns out, I came across an article, and I need to say, let's see who that article is from. It's Essentially Sports, and I need to make sure that's accurate. But so far as to my understanding, Essentially Sports, the fans' perspective, I believe, is where I caught this article, and it is titled "Devin Haney versus George Kambosos Jr. 2: Disclosed Fight Purse, Salaries, Endorsements, and More." And that's what I was curious about. If Haney was it worth it for him to go back again, all the way to Australia, and go through this again and get short money again, And as it turns out, if this article is correct, it was very worth it. So I'm just going to really quickly go through this article and give this information. The accuracy is, I guess, up for question, because I don't know where they got their information, to be perfectly honest. So this is just something that they put out, and I'm going to share that article with you. So it reads, undisputed lightweight champion Devin Haney will defend his title once again on October 15th against former champion George Kambosos Jr. Haney won the championship from Kambosos Jr. back in June in front of a packed-out stadium in Melbourne. He comfortably dismissed Kambosos Jr., winning via unanimous decision. He goes on to say, the judges scored the fight 116 to 112, 116 to 112, and 118 to 110, all in favor of Haney. However, despite his victory, Haney only took home $2.8 million, while Kambosos Jr. earned a guaranteed purse of $10 million. The pay-per-view share was also in favor of Kambosos with a 70-30 split. And keep in mind, he lost that fight big. So, it appeared that the second fight might go along the same lines as the first fight. But this article goes on to say, however, the fight purses might not be so similar in their rematch as the salaries for the second outing were recently revealed. It is reported that Haney will receive more than Kambosos in the rematch. He will earn a base salary of $7 million while also bagging a hefty amount from his pay-per-view shares, adding up to $9.2 million. Kambosos, on the other hand, will earn $6 million as his base salary and around $1.9 million, adding his earnings to $7.9 million in total. Not bad at all, I might add, considering the fact that he lost 2 fights. Hugely lost 2 fights. In succession. But was still able to go home, with a huge amount of money. So Kambosos Jr. in the second fight, getting that $7.9 million in total or thereabouts, according to this article, and that still puts him at a whopping $17.9 million plus, or somewhere in that area. For 2 losses. I mean, his family, if he's a smart man, he's set for generations if he's a smart man. So I'm going to move forward with the article. Despite Kambosos earning lower than the last bout, it might be justified as Haney is now the champion and deserves more than the challenger. I'm going to cut in and say it might be justified as Haney is now the champion. That's my question. No, it's justified. It's totally justified. So yes, Haney is now Haney is the champion and Kambosos the challenger. So yes, this is fair. The article goes on to say this will be Haney's highest paycheck in his career. He earned $3 million for his fight against Jorge Linares, which is a very good fight, and about $2 million against Irioki Gamboa. Despite earning millions from their fight purses alone, both fighters also endorsed brands, adding to their multi-million-dollar wealth. And I'm happy to hear that. Haney is currently endorsed. That's a misprint. Well, no. Yes, it's a misprint. It says Haney is currently endorsed products of multiple companies. It should read, Haney is currently endorsed by multiple companies, or Haney is currently endorsed by multiple companies, if I didn't say that, or either Haney is currently endorsing products by multiple companies, something along those lines, but there's a misprint there. Some of his sponsorships include nutrition supplement company Snack. Moreover, he was also seen promoting Dulce and the Gabbana leading up to his fight against Kambosos. The champ has also done a lot of philanthropy work within his state. He has been part of various charities, also once feeding the homeless young adults at the Covenant House, Covenant House, Texas. So, I was concerned about Haney's pay and, doing so much, making so many sacrifices just to get those fights. But, you got to get the money because they're in a dangerous sport. And so it looks like, if this article is even close to correct, it looks like he's done well. This time around, it was well worth his going back. And, he got his victory once again. And, again, Kambosos Jr. said for life, himself of 2 losses like that. So, at the end of the day, it was a good fight. Saturday was full of boxing, and for all the boxing enthusiasts, I'm sure they enjoyed Saturday. So, congratulations to Devin Haney for doing it again, and he's getting pretty stout. He's making weight comfortably, they said, but he's got a pretty large frame, and if he did go up in weight, he would probably be stronger. It just depends. A lot of that depends on the strength and conditioning program that these guys are under. And some people have different beliefs about weight training and so on and so forth. You don't fully understand what they can do. But whatever the case may be, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. And I'm glad he's getting paid. And I'm glad that it was a good fight. But again, in Australia, I should add, in Australia, and just like Shields and what's her name, Alicia Baumgardner, and some of those girls having to go over to the UK to fight. It's hard to get a decision sometimes. So in the States, it's harder, unfortunately, for black people to get decisions in the States here, because we know the racial problems and how easily it is to get robbed. But kudos to Australia as well as the UK for giving fair judgments in these fights, because it's very easy to get away with doing the other thing. So I wish there were more of that. One more time, congratulations to Devin Haney. We just want to see good fights, and we'll see if these guys continue to make good fights. A lot going on right now, a lot of great fighters out there. So, I think that there's a lot to be looking forward to, and that's going to be that on this one. Hey, we'll see what's next. Like I said, we'll see what's next. So, for anybody that happened to see this, thanks for looking. I just do this to kind of get it out of my system. So, appreciate you, and peace and love.